The concrete step was cold beneath him. It was a gray Tuesday, the kind of day where the sky looks like dirty dishwater. Leo sat on the curb. He was 40 years old, and his pockets were empty. Not just empty of money, but empty of hope. He brought his hands up to his face. He pressed his palms against his eyes to stop the hot tears. He did not want anyone to see him cry. He was a grown man. He was supposed to be strong. But today, Leo felt very small and very weak. Just yesterday, he had signed the final papers. His hardware store was gone. It was a small shop that his father had built. Leo had loved the smell of sawdust and metal in that shop. He loved helping neighbors fix a leaky pipe or build a birdhouse. But love did not pay the bills. The world had changed fast. Big stores opened just outside of town. These stores were huge. They had bright lights and music. They sold everything for very cheap prices. Leo could not compete with them. But the biggest problem was not the prices. The biggest problem was Leo himself. Leo was smart with his hands. He could fix anything, but he was not smart with words. He lived in a busy city where many languages were spoken. But the most important language for business, the language of the big banks and the new contracts, was English. Leo's English was very poor. He knew hello, thank you, and how much. When the men in suits from the big suppliers came to talk deals, Leo got confused. They talked too fast. They used big words he did not understand. He would just nod his head and smile, hoping they would not ask him a hard question. Because he could not communicate well, he missed opportunities. He could not read the new catalogs from overseas. He could not negotiate better prices. He felt stuck in his little corner of the world while everything else moved past him like a fast train. So the shop failed. The bank took it. They took his small house too. Now at 40, Leo was sleeping on a friend's couch. He had no job. He had no money. He felt like a big zero. He sat on the cold curb for a long time. The noise of the city was loud around him. Cars honked. People shouted into their phones. Everyone seemed busy. Everyone seemed to have a place to go. Only Leo had nowhere to be. Finally, his stomach growled. He was hungry. He stood up slowly. His knees hurt. He walked back toward his friend's apartment block. He put his hands in his jacket pockets to keep them warm. His fingers touched something paper. Leo pulled it out. It was an old envelope. It was crumpled and stained. He frowned. He did not remember putting this there. He looked at the handwriting on the front. His heart skipped a beat. It was his father's handwriting. His father had died 5 years ago. This letter must have been in this old jacket for years. Leo had put the jacket away after the funeral and only took it out today because it was cold. He sat down on a bus bench under a street lamp. His hand shook a little as he opened the envelope. The paper inside was yellow with age. It was a short letter. His father was a man of few words. My dear son Leo, I am proud of you. You work hard in the shop. Your hands are honest, but I worry for you. The world is getting bigger, Leo. My world was small. Our neighborhood was enough for me. But your world is different. You are smart, but you are quiet. You stay in the back of the shop. You let others do the talking. Son, if you cannot speak to the world will not know you are there. Do not be like me. Do not stay small because you are afraid to sound foolish. Words are bridges. They connect people. The biggest bridge today is English. You must learn it. It is the key to doors you do not even see yet. It will be hard. You will feel silly. Do it anyway. Open your mouth. Speak. Learn. Grow. Love. Papa Leo read the letter 3 times. A tear fell onto the paper and made a wet spot on his father's signature. His father had known. 5 years ago, his father had seen the problem. Leo had been too busy working with his hands to listen. He thought hard labor was enough. He thought if he was a good man, things would work out. He was wrong. Being good was not enough. You also had to be able to connect. Words are bridges, his father wrote. Leo looked up from the letter. Across the street, there was a large billboard. It had a picture of a smiling man in a suit, shaking hands with someone in another country. The text was in English. Yesterday, that sign was just noise to Leo, just letters he could not read. Today, it looked like a challenge. A strange feeling rose in Leo's chest. It was not sadness anymore. It was something hot. It was anger at himself for wasting so much time. And under the anger, a tiny spark of determination. He was 40. He was broke. He was sleeping on a couch. He was a zero. Okay, Papa, Leo whispered to the empty street. Okay, I hear you. The next morning, Leo did not look for a job in construction or a warehouse. He walked to the public library. The library was quiet and smelled of old paper and floor wax. Leo felt out of place. He had not been in a library since he was a child. He walked to the section labeled Languages. He found a shelf full of books about learning English. Some were very thick and looked scary. He chose a thin, bright blue book. The title was English for Absolute Beginners, Level 1. He found a table in a corner. He sat down and opened the book. Page 1 had pictures of apples, bowls, and cats. He felt foolish. He was a grown man looking at a child's book. He almost closed it. He almost stood up and walked out. Then he touched the letter in his pocket. Do it anyway, his father's voice echoed in his mind. Leo took a deep breath. He pointed his finger at the first picture. A is for apple, he whispered. That was day 1. The next few months were the hardest of Leo's life. It was harder than lifting heavy boxes. It was harder than fixing a broken furnace in winter. He got a night job cleaning office buildings. It paid very little money. His back ached from mopping floors. He was always tired. But every day before work, he went to the library for 4 hours. Learning was slow. His brain felt rusty, like an old engine that hadn't been used in years. He struggled with the sounds. The thus sound made him spit. The letter R was impossible. He tried to practice in the real world. One day, he went to a coffee shop. He wanted to order a black coffee in English. He practiced the sentence in his head 10 times while standing in line. Can I have a black coffee, please? When he got to the front, a young woman with bright pink hair looked at him. He froze. His throat went dry. Can I? Coffee? Black? He stumbled. The woman frowned. What? Coffee. Black. Please, Leo said, his face burning red with shame. She sighed and rolled her eyes. All right, $2. Leo paid and took his coffee. He felt terrible. He wanted to crawl into a hole. He felt like everyone in the shop was laughing at him. He went back to the library that afternoon. He sat at his table and stared at the book. He wanted to throw it across the room. What is the point? He thought. I am 40 years old. I am too old for this. I will always be a 0. He closed his eyes and remembered the letter. Words are bridges. He was still on one side of the river. The coffee shop woman was on the other side. He had fallen into the water trying to cross. So swim, he told himself. Try again. He opened the book. He kept going. 6 months passed. Leo still cleaned floors at night. But now he was reading level 3 books. He started using free apps on an old smartphone his friend gave him. He listened to podcasts in simple English while he mopped. One evening, he was cleaning a meeting room on the top floor of a big bank tower. The room had huge glass windows. He looked out at the city lights below. It was beautiful. He used to hate those big towers. He thought the people inside them were greedy and mean. On the big conference table, someone had left a newspaper. It was the Financial Times, an English business newspaper. Usually Leo would just throw it in the trash. But tonight, he paused. He picked it up. The headline said, Global demand for rare woods increases. Leo understood the words. He read the first paragraph. It was difficult. He had to guess some words. But he understood the main idea. The world wanted special kinds of high-quality wood for luxury furniture, and there was not enough of it. Leo stopped mopping. He knew about wood. His father loved special woods. Leo knew where to find the best walnut and cherry wood in his region. He knew the small farmers who grew it. These farmers were poor, just like his father was. They sold their wood locally for very little money. They did not know that people on the other side of the world would pay 10 times that amount. They did not know because they did not speak English. They had no bridge. An idea sparked in Leo's mind. It was a small, warm light in the dark. He took the newspaper home. He sat up all night with his dictionary, reading the article word by word. He found the names of the big furniture companies in Europe and America that needed this wood. The next day, Leo did not go to the library. He went to visit an old farmer named Silas, who lived outside the city. Silas had a barn full of beautiful, aged black walnut wood. Silas, Leo said in their local language, I think I can sell your wood for a lot of money, but I need you to trust me. Silas was desperate. He agreed. Leo went back to his friend's apartment. He sat at the small kitchen table with his old phone. He was going to write an email to a huge furniture company in London. His hands were sweating. He was just a janitor living on a couch. Who was he to write to these big people? He almost gave up. The old fear came back, the fear of being a zero. He touched his pocket. The letter was there. Do not stay small. He began to type. It took him 4 hours to write 6 sentences. He checked every word in the dictionary 3 times. Dear sirs, I read that you need high-quality black walnut wood. I represent local farmers in my region. We have excellent aged wood available. It is better than what is on the market now. I can send you samples. Please let me know if you're interested. Sincerely, Leo Vance. He pressed send. He felt exhausted, like he had just run a marathon. 48 hours later, he got a reply. Mr. Vance? Yes. Send samples immediately to our London office. Leo's heart nearly pounded out of his chest. He had built a tiny bridge. Someone had walked across it. He borrowed money from his friend to ship a small box of wood samples. Then he waited. 2 weeks later, the phone rang. It was a number from England. Leo answered. Hello, this is Leo. He spoke slowly and clearly. Mr. Vance, a British voice said, your wood is spectacular. We have not seen quality like this in years. How much can you supply? That was the beginning. Leo did not become rich overnight. It was a long, slow climb. At first, he was just a middleman. He connected the local farmers with the international buyers. He used his English every day. He made mistakes, but he learned from them. He was no longer afraid to sound foolish. He knew that every mistake was just a step on the bridge. He started making some money. He moved off his friend's couch into a small rented room. He bought a laptop. At age 42, 2 years after finding the letter, Leo started his own company, Vance Fine Woods. He was honest with the farmers, paying them much more than they used to get. They loved him. He was honest with the buyers, always delivering the best quality. They trusted him. His business grew. He hired an assistant. Then, too, he had to travel. The first time he flew on an airplane, he was terrifyingly excited. He flew to London to meet his biggest client. He wore a cheap suit he bought second-hand. When he walked into the grand glass office building, he felt a flicker of the old shame. He felt like the janitor again. But then the CEO walked out, smiled, and shook his hand. Leo, so good to finally meet the man with the golden wood. They sat in a meeting. Leo spoke English for 2 hours. He did not just say hello and thank you. He discussed contracts, shipping schedules, and future plans. He made a joke, and everyone laughed. He was doing it. He was walking across the bridge. 5 years passed since that day on the cold curb. It was Leo's 45th birthday. He was standing in his own office. It was on the 20th floor of a new downtown tower. The walls were made of glass. He was wearing a tailored navy blue suit. It fit him perfectly. He felt strong and calm. He looked out the window at the city. It was the same city where he had lost everything, but it looked different from up here. It didn't look like a monster that wanted to crush him. It looked like a giant machine full of connections. He was a millionaire now. His company supplied rare woods to luxury builders all over the world. He had bought his father's old shop back, just for sentimental reasons. He turned it into a training center to teach young people about woodcraft and business. The money was nice. It meant he never had to sleep on a couch again. It meant he could help his friends and family. But the money was not the real victory. Leo turned away from the window and walked to his large oak desk. He sat down in the comfortable leather chair. He reached into his inside suit pocket. He pulled out a plastic sleeve. Inside the plastic was a very old, very worn yellow letter. He carefully took it out and laid it on the desk. "Thanks, Papa," he whispered. He remembered the man sitting on the curb, hiding his face. That man felt like a zero. He felt like his life was over at 40. Leo realized now that zero wasn't an end. Zero was a starting point. It was the ground floor. You could stay there or you could start building. He had built his bridge with verbs and nouns. He had built it with late nights at the library and terrifying phone calls. He was not a hero. He was just a man who decided to learn something new when he felt too old to learn anything. He was a man who stopped being afraid of his own voice. Leo smiled, folded the letter carefully, and put it back over his heart. Then he picked up his phone. He had a conference call with Tokyo in 5 minutes. He was ready to speak.